All right, welcome to the Underground. This is your host, Joe Black. We're going to have a little panel today. We're trying something different. So much has been going on this week, and we want to talk about some of the issues and topics that are on people's mind this week. So sitting in with me today, I have Sister Ruthie White Ward. She works in medical administration, and then she's a church leader. Sister Ruthie, good evening.
Hello.
We also have Danielle. She's a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, and a veteran. And so I'm your host, Joe Black, and we have a couple of topics we're going to talk about today, and we'll see where this takes us. So the first thing I want to talk about today is what brought us here, and it's police violence against African Americans in this country. This has been going on for years and years and years. It has gotten to the point that we can't get a banner or a shirt or anything large enough to show all the people who's been affected by this. So, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, jump in whenever you want. So what brought us here was not Ahmaud Arbery. Like I said, there's so many. It was George Floyd. We just had Breonna Taylor. We couldn't get over one before a next one started. So what's your thought? We'll start with you, Ruthie. What's your thought on police violence and how is it affecting our community?
My thought is that police violence has always been present and it's always been here. And I think the reality or the shock value of seeing George Floyd being killed, or as we say, executed in broad daylight, with no remorse, no humanity. It was just horrible. But this type of things has been going on for as long as I can remember. Let me say it that way. I am born in the 60s. I'm just gonna leave it there. But I can know that police has never been my friend. But for the rest of the country, I think it's been all over for a long time, and it's just coming to a head right now, and more people are starting to see what we've been trying to say all these years. That's how I see it. But do I at this point, do I have faith in the system when it comes to Mr. George Floyd's case? No.
Okay.
No.
Right. Danielle, what do you think?
I agree with Ruthie. Police as a whole, when we're looking at it, not individually people, but as an institution or organization as a whole, I see it as racist. I kind of see it as the whole idea of policing when they say protect and serve. It is not to protect and serve, people of color, specifically Black people. It is to protect and serve white people, but it is to control and contain Black people. And it is just how we are engaged. If and I've had conversations with, white counterparts, white friends, and they will talk about the privilege that they have in their engagement with, the police. I would also say that it is a control issue when it comes to lower economic groups of people, not just Black folks. But I think that there is a huge disparity in how the police engage Black folks, people of color, and also poor people. And so it is something that they don't acknowledge and won't.
Right.
And that is a real struggle, especially being a mother.
Right.
And I've had to have a conversation with many of my white counterparts. There are conversations that we have to have about the police with our young Black men that they will never have to have. And if it were a true system that was protecting and serving all, that would never be the case. But that is our reality. It's not theirs.
Right.
So
Exactly.
for me to believe that this is an equal serving organization, no, do not believe that at all.
You know, so the thing that's coming back up now again is the whole protest that Colin Kaepernick did by kneeling. And the thing is, what I don't understand is that our peaceful protest wasn't accepted. Now that we raise our voice, is it society's wants that we just say, hey, we'll just take it? I'll tell you, as I've looked at things right now, like Sister Ruthie, I'm a
Call me
child.
Ra. You can call me Ra.
Yeah, but as a child of the 60s, I grew up and saw the riots. I was at the cusp of the civil rights movement. But what I'm seeing right now, when I look at it with a logical, clear mind, that's been clouded. Because what I'm seeing now is the brutalization of people of color that you see in third world countries that we talk about and get upset with when we're looking at the news and seeing what's going on in Hong Kong, when we're seeing what's going on in some African country or whatever. And for some reason, I didn't see it going on here at that level. It is at that level here where human rights, where people's lives are being taken. And I've almost come to believe that we have made great strides. And now my color is more evident to me today than it was 20, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to go back, you say when we are being accepted, I think that's the problem. Why do we have to be accepted? We don't have you. I don't need you to accept me because I am a Black woman. I am a Black woman that had Black sons. So I'm a proud individual. Whether you accept me or not, I'm here. And I think that's one of the things that they don't understand. And I think that's some of the things that we don't understand as a people. I think how we get blinded is that as long as they accept us and long as we stay in line with what they want us to do, then we're good. But we're not good because they're still going to treat you the same way. They're still going to do the things that they do. They're still underhanded. So as far as racism in this country, that's how it's going to be. But I refuse. I don't need you to accept me. I don't need them to accept me. I don't care. I work in a facility where I work with where I have white people that work with that are nurses, and I'm gonna say that are nurses. And these women in my supervisor, it is amazing to me their rationale for our reaction to what's going on, to the whole racism and the whole killing and lynching and all the things that's happening to us as Black people. They see it as we are being disruptive to their lifestyle. They see it as we are really buffing about nothing. But in the interim, you're in the back room with the door closed 2 times a day. What do you think I think you're talking about while you're in there?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I have to work with these people that I know. So I don't need to be accepted. But what you will do, you need to do is respect us as people.
Right.
Respect us as people. We're human beings. I don't need your acceptance. You ain't got a heaven or a hell to put me in. But people are fed up and they're tired because I know I'm tired.
Right.
I'm fearful. I have 2 Black brothers. I have a son that's Black. I have 3 Black grandchildren. I have a husband. And then it's me because they ain't taking it just out on the men no more. It's the women and our children.
Right. Danielle?
Yeah, this is multi-layered for me. Going back, can you restate your question again where we started?
Well,
On the kneeling.
Well, what I was just saying is why do they have a hard time accepting our peaceful protest? And then when we're raising our voice, so what is it? Are we supposed to just in white society, we're just supposed to just take it? We're just supposed to be, happy with any type of treatment? We're just supposed to say it's okay?
Well, there are a couple of things, and I'm experiencing this actually today. I had two people that I consider friends, white people, reach out to me today around being embarrassed, sad. And, you know, what I had to have hard conversations with them about was they have an entitlement
Mm-hmm.
that they refuse to acknowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they have this belief and it also an arrogance that the way they see the world and the way they've experienced the world is the only way the world is.
Mm-hmm.
That anything that we do is hypersensitive,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, we're using it as an excuse or a crutch. They
Mm-hmm.
will not acknowledge the fact that this system was built to benefit them. And it was built by their grandparents, their great grandparents, their great great grandparents. That there is institutional racism that still prevails today. And because they didn't, you know, build the system and they're reaping the benefits of it, they won't acknowledge that. They still have this attitude of, oh, you know, I worked hard, so why can't you work hard? Or I don't see that. You know, how can that really be the true experience if none of my friends experience it or my family members don't? They will not acknowledge that there is another reality out there for people that their forefathers had a hand in. And that is too hard for them to deal with. And I truly believe that shame, they will not own it. And more importantly, they won't do anything, because when it comes to this, my attitude at this point is, this is not our problem to fix. This is their problem.
That's right.
Right.
And they
That's
keep
right.
pushing it back on us. So
That's
we
right.
try to be peaceful and do, you know, the kneeling, the non-confrontational or non-violent, you know, protesting, and they pretty much ignored it because it didn't make them comfortable. It was in their face and it doesn't impact them. So how dare you do this? But I honestly don't see these as riots. I see these as uprisings, because the reality of it is, from the beginning of the beginning of this country, this country did not come about by peaceful,
Not at all.
protesting.
Right. Right.
Uprisings built America
Right.
from the forefathers.
Right. If you,
And for them to, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I've been telling people to look and see what the beginning passages in the Declaration of Independence says, it's one of the most incendiary documents ever written. And if you show that to somebody, they would almost be appalled. Like, what are you saying? Because it says, you know, whenever a government isn't taking care of the people, depriving them of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it's the people's right to overthrow and replace that government. And so if you say that to somebody, wow, you know, that is the Declaration of Independence.
But Black, I think they know that, and they think we don't know that. You understand what I'm saying? Because it plays for them when they want it to play for them. You see, go back to wearing the mask when what state was that? They went up in there with all their AK-47s. Okay, they went up in there and they ain't nobody throw the first smoke bomb at them.
No.
No.
I was going to say, I just want to touch on one more thing, and then I want to move on to the other topic, because I don't want to, you know, we can go on for this forever. And I was just as one point that I was saying is, one of the things that's been infuriating me is when you look at what happened with Drew Brees, when he still, you know, couldn't understand why people knelt. What happened here in the DMV, when this man on a bicycle accosted a girl and her family for placing signs up that said Black Lives Matter. Why are you angry because someone is saying Black Lives Matter? So anyway, you know, we'll maybe touch it that when we round up. But the next thing we did start talking about protests. And so what do you guys feel about the protests as they've become peaceful, as they became somewhat violent, and then there was looting? So what is your opinion on that? I would tell you, for my opinion, I think the protesting, the rioting, I think it is understandable. you get fed up to a certain degree. I like the example I use is if someone makes me angry, I pick up my $1,000 iPhone and I throw it into my $1,500 TV because I'm angry, and that was just because I was angry and over. But if I just continue doing it, I think we're starting to lose the message, and that's how I look at it. With the caveat is if you can talk about the civil rights movements from the 40s all the way up to the mid 60s, the most action, the most results we got was after the riots. So anyway, I'll start off with Danielle this time first.
You know, I've been having these conversations with multiple people over the past couple of weeks, and just my view on this is there is a place for everything. There is a place for peaceful demonstrations. There are places for uprising, and we all have different roles. Because the bottom line is, until you show your complete displeasure and you're at a point where you will not tolerate the status quo, there will be no change. And I truly believe, you know, and it's funny where somebody I read had an analogy around, you know, we're dealing with this police brutality and not all police are like that, you know, but you have all of these people out here protesting peacefully in this small group of people looting, but yet the whole narrative and the focus is on that. They are taking their eyes off of the real issue, that the reason you have hundreds of thousands of people all over the world out here protesting. And again, to me, it is all about this group of people, white people, not wanting to deal with the fact that this is, you know, we have a structure that is continually suppressing a large group of people. And I don't want to hear this about, oh, you had a Black president for 8 years. Okay. Let's talk about the way that they tried to just not work with him the entire time. They undermined his authority. They talked bad about him and his wife and children in very racist ways. But yet they will throw up in our face, oh, you had a Black president. And let's see the standard that this man had to be held to. Because if he would have had the background of the current man that sits in that office, he would not even have been able to even be a candidate.
Right.
But yet this man, you know, and it shows the blatant two standards that are out there that these people will not deal with. And I'm a true believer, and I will say this on the record, these protests need to continue, period.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
You know, because just saying, oh, they did this, and now people are just waiting for it to die down and to go back to normal, absolutely not. No. And I also just quickly had to have a conversation with someone who is a person of color but not Black, and they were, you know, complaining about, you know, these young people, and they're doing all this protesting, you know, it's disrespectful, we never did this. And I had to relate it to his historical, you know, experience, in the sense of, you know what, how did your people feel, you know, when their rights were taken away and they were marginalized? Your parents did not stand for that. Your grandparents may have, but what your parents did gives you the freedoms that you have today. And it is no different what my parents did during the civil rights for me, and what the young people and my grandchildren and my son is doing today. And you sometimes have to get them to understand, because the reality of it is also non-Black people that may be people of color do not understand our plight.
No.
And that is very evident in what's going on today. So I'm going to leave it at that.
It's a little easier for them to assimilate. Ra?
It's called protests for a reason. This is what you get. That's how I feel. I don't care if they burnt down your store. I don't care if they stole your chicken. I don't care if they walking down the street with your dishwasher and your dryer. I don't care. This is what you get. This is what you get when you have a people that you're trying to oppress for so many years. I don't want to hear you cry. I don't want to hear you cry about, oh, you're tearing up our neighborhood. I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that. Because you can automatically look at any TV station, even including Fox, and see where these police are sitting up here brutalizing these people. You're gonna call the military on your own citizens. So guess what? I feel no sympathy for nobody. Keep on keeping on. Keep on marching. Keep on. I wish I could be out there. I really, really wish I could be out there. But guess what? I'm here to help in any other kind of way that you need me. Get the word out, whatever. I don't care. That's how I feel, Black. Jeff. It's called protest for a reason. And I ain't never seen a flowery, smelling pretty kumbaya protest.
Okay. All right. And so I would just say the only caveat that I do have about that, and like I said, I do understand, and I do understand the anger, because for me, I am hoping every day that I wake up not angry, and I have been angry now for about 10 days in a row, and anger is a hard emotion to carry. So I'm hoping to lift that anger off of my own spirit, but we've been going through this for so long. So anyway, the results of this, the results of the protests, the results of the riots is the President of the United States,
Idiot.
DC, this District of Columbia had a 7 o'clock curfew, 6:35. He sent, I don't know what was the contingent of it was a National Guard, active duty troops, DC police. But anyway, they ran across, moved these peaceful protesters in front of the park, moved those people across, assaulted journalists from other countries, and it's just I don't know. To me, that was an assault on the Constitution. It was as close as you can get into martial law. He talked about using the Insurrection Act, but we also have posse comitatus, which is a phrase meaning that only active duty troops should not be used in law enforcement roles inside of the United States. So that's what he did, and it's drawing some heat now against from other military leaders who are retired and some who are still active duty. So, Rob, what do you got on that?
Okay, it is so ironic how this president, first let me say, has no moral soul. When you have countries like North Korea and Russia that he praised, but he turns on his own people to the fact that he will sick the military on his own citizens. So you're going to send my sons and daughters back to shoot their brothers and sisters? You're going to put them up against each other? Are you freaking kidding me? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Whoever, again, I say this, Lexi, now that's where I'm at. This is the dumbest president I ever in my lifetime. Never witnessed. Oh my God, he's dumber than a rock. To do that and then to go before a church, and take have a photo op with. So you did all that so you can have a photo op with a I'm gonna say it was an object because it wasn't a Bible to him. Okay, it wasn't a Bible to him. It was an object that you hold it upside down. You're awkward. All this is for a photo op. What a freaking ignoramus. What is a moron Donald Trump is. I'm trying to tell you, Black, I don't understand how did we get to this point where they put this racist man in the office? I know how. You got somebody named Mitch McConnell, and you got somebody named Vladimir Putin. That's how we got what we got right now.
Right. Okay. DH, Danielle.
You know, sometimes and we've all experienced this in life. Sometimes you have to see rock bottom in the worst to realize how good you've had it. And the pendulum for a lot of people swung with, President Obama saying, oh, you had your chance. Now we need to have ours. And I think that there was a true extreme swing from the left to the right.
Right.
And the right is now seeing what they believed in this so-called businessman, this so-called straight shooter, that this man has now, destroyed the economy. We have social uprising, his inability to manage a pandemic. So he's the person that we need to have. We are also an embarrassment. We are not considered the world leader anymore.
No.
This
no,
man did all of this in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
And, what's also very interesting from a military perspective, that a lot of the soldiers that you're sending out into these areas to, for martial law are minority soldiers who come from these types of environments. So you're now going to tell me that these soldiers are feeling what's going on, have experienced the racism, and now you're going to send them out into a community and protect your interest and the interests that are not theirs, because that's what we're really doing. We are protecting the status quo. These are interests that are not ours. And I think also, and what saddens me, but it's also sometimes things have to happen in an extreme way for people to acknowledge things. A lot of retired, but also current general officers are now having to have hard conversations about race. This issue has always been here. This is not anything new. But now they have to have these conversations. And more importantly, they have to take a stand. And that's what's different on this one. They have to take a stand.
And they
especially when, go ahead.
No, I was going to, go ahead, I'll wait.
Especially seeing that more than 60% of your enlisted soldiers are minorities that come from working class or poor communities, middle class also. Come on now. They have to take a stand and lead in a manner that's going to get us to the right side of this. And that's where the president and the people that he chooses to surround himself with were not prepared for that.
Right.
And so, it's going to be very interesting of how this unfolds, over the next few months as we go toward the election. Because my thing on this, and I will get to the end and close. It's, we're protesting now, but what are people going to do in November?
Yes.
That's what it's all about. What are you doing? And it's not just for your president. People need to be looking at, what are your senators and congressmen doing right now? Correct. What is your city council doing? What is your district attorney? What is their stance? Your sheriff, because all of those are electable positions. That's what you need to be looking at.
Correct. And if you look and see what just happened in Minneapolis today with the city council, where they said they put the onus on other officers to intercede if someone was doing something illegal. The review board, now they have civilian review in there, which was not, it was a board of lawyers. So these things, and that's what we have to do. And that's one of the things I'll talk about later, but that's how we have to get involved with our community. I agree with you 100%. So I'm getting ready to try and tie this up. But real quick, if you can give me a real quick snippet, if this is the case, has racism personally touched you? DH, you go first.
Unfortunately, I would have to say yes. I have had to deal with it working on Wall Street within my military career. And a lot of it is about their perception of Black people. Like, oh, I didn't know you spoke so well, or, oh, you have a master's degree, or, oh, you own a business, or, oh, you were able to be a senior leader in the military. There's this idea that we are exceptions to the rule, and that all Black people aren't like me.
Right.
And when they're very comfortable around you, they feel that they can, say certain things, and especially they love to talk about affirmative action where it's not fair and all of these things. Again, to me, those experiences have gone to their right, where they feel that they have the entitlement to feel a certain way and have certain opportunities. And if it's challenged, then there's something wrong with the system. And that has been a lifelong issue that I still deal with today in certain rooms in which I walk into. And it's sad because they're all in denial that they're not racist.
Yep.
They're all in denial.
Ruthie?
For me, definitely. Basically, for the most part, I could say in the workforce, being entry-level worker, I worked in social service, and I've seen the wage imbalance when it comes to that. Matter of fact, I just had to go through that through HR, in a way that I found out that one of a white woman that came in after me was making more money than me. And I ain't gonna say how I found out, but I found out. And I took it to HR, and I wanted to know why she was getting paid more than me. When I was doing more than her job, more than anybody's. My job is more than her job. So
Right.
it entails more than her job. So I won that. You know what I'm saying? But I had to go fight for that. But she just walked through the door and they gave it to her,
Right.
So yeah, and it's blatant. And I work with doctors that are some of them are very prejudiced. They think they have a higher standard, like you said, like they think they're better than, or you stand above them. And again, I have to let them know I'm just not that person. I don't need you to accept me. I feel like I am a person. I am a Black woman. I am a child of God. I stand on the Most High God. So I could care less about your prejudicial things, but when it pertains to me, I'm going to call them out on it every time. But I sit at my job, and I've tried to get fired. They refuse to fire me. Why? Because I'm a good worker, but you're not willing to pay me or give me the respect that you'll give my white counterpart. So yes, I have experienced prejudice in my lifetime.
And as well as I have, and I'll tell you, one of my things is now I'm 6 feet tall, a Black man. I weigh about 200 pounds, but I am as non-threatening as you get. I am not somebody who goes in and whatever. But when I was in the military, they would go around and they was like, Sergeant White tries to intimidate people with his size. Now, I'm not 6'6". I don't weigh 240 pounds. I'm not boisterous. I'm not trying to intimidate, but that is the fear of the Black man. That is why Tamir Rice got shot, a 12-year-old, because they fear him. They looked at, he's menacing. We are menacing to them. Anyway, where do we go from here? I'm going to close it up. If you can just tell me what do you think we need to do from here to keep this dialogue, to keep this movement going? D8?
Number one, vote in your local elections, attend your council meetings, let your local senators and congressmen know that you are watching what they do. I would also say, if you cannot donate your money, donate your time to organizations that will uplift our community and put us out in the forefront. But also, and we've got to do a better job in our community, talking to our family members who are disenchanted about what's going on, and to get them to vote and be active. We have that responsibility, because if we think about how many Black folks sat out this last election, we would not be in the situation completely. I can't say about COVID, but we would not be in the situation with other things that we are now.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do, I believe, or some of the things that we have to do.
All right.
For me, I think where we go, where I go from here. First of all, I'm gonna keep praying. I'm gonna keep praying because I just know in my heart that as long as we stay strong and united as a people, like we're doing right now, something has to keep the flame going. We can't sit back and let it go out next week. You know, like you said, we got to get into our community. We got to know what's going on. Me myself, I think this weekend I'm going to go around the corner to my police station around here and knock on the door and see who up in there and act. You know, maybe I'll take them some coffee and donuts or something. But that's what I'm going to do. But I think we need to stay united and we need to stay with passion. Because if we lose the passion, then we sink back into being mundane and stifled. We get stifled. So I think we need to just, from here, we need to stay with the passion. And that goes with everything that DH was saying. It's a whole, it's not just one thing, it's a whole host of things that has to be done. But for me, I'm going to pray because without prayer, I don't think we can make it.
So I will tell you, I agree with you 100%. I'll just tell you, there's a local politician here in the community I lived in, and I befriended her on Facebook. And this woman has sent me invites to every town hall, every meeting that a decision was made in my community. And to date, I'm not gone to one. So I have to tell the truth on myself, and I have to do better. And that's what we have to do. We have to be involved in our community. You know, Danielle, as you said earlier, all the people who didn't vote, Donald Trump became president by 70,000 votes in 3 states. 4.2 million people who voted for Barack Obama in 2012 didn't vote in 2016. There should not be a Trump administration. And we had Barack Obama, and hopefully he won't be the last African-American president or person of color or woman or whatever. But we can't stand on the sidelines just because that person, if someone has our interests and have our views and is going to be beneficial to our community, we have to be active and we have to vote. Ladies, thank you for being on the Underground. Hopefully I will try and do these forums again, and hopefully you guys will be able to come back at another time. This is Joe Black. This is the Underground, and this is the Brother with a Mic. Thank you.
All right now. All right. Bye, DH.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye. You guys stay safe. Love you guys.
All right.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
You too. And thank you for your service.
Yes, ma'am.